Hey there, everybody. What's up, peeps? How's everybody doing today? Well, it's a random day in the middle of December. Ouch, my side kind of hurts. I don't know why. It always sucks when you have weird pains and you don't know where they're coming from. And of course, my back hurts as well. I'm not here to complain, I promise. I'm actually here to talk about how when something goes wrong, everything goes wrong. This kind of Murphy's Law. It's fascinating to me, and I have a point to this, and it's not to complain, but rather to point out that we tend to look for patterns of negativity in things that have happened at times, I should say, when we're feeling a bit already anxious, depressed, or frustrated, whatever it might be. Why does this happen to me? I know people who I've met in the past who just, everything's hard and everything's a problem, and others who they act like nothing phases them whatsoever, that they're totally, let me see if I can turn this out of the sunlight. Yeah, guess it doesn't matter. It's kind of reflecting in the side there. But anyhow, so I've also met people who kind of play that game like nothing bothers them, and then others who everything bothers them, and I think we're all somewhere in the middle where sometimes shit bothers us, but something, it's the weirdest thing because the reason I'm mentioning this is because I'm working on my washing machine, okay? Now, a washing machine is a relatively simple device. It's a 1980s or 90s version. I like the old school stuff, washer and dryer. I like something that I can just tip over and fix. My dryer's gone out in the past. The last time my dryer went out about a month ago, I'd already replaced the thermostat and belt before and, just keep it running fine. Then something happened where I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And I finally pinned it down to the little spindle that goes on the end of the motor was loose enough to where it would rotate off and the belt would get all scuffed up and it wasn't properly turning the drum. So I figured it out, replaced it myself. I was stoked. A month later, the washing machine starts acting funny. It just won't spin. So you got the whole thing full of water, clothes are in it, and it won't spin. Great. It's the worst thing ever. Clothes stink. You got to get them out of there. I got all the stuff out. I took it apart, and I said, okay, I'm going to do this. One time I'd had to replace the washer, and it was the coupler. And the coupler is just a little plastic, basically 3 prongs on each side. It's the first thing to look at if your washing machine goes out. So anyway, I'd already replaced that a while back. Checked it. It was fine. I started testing everything. The transmission worked fine. I got way in there. The water pump was fine. There was nothing in it. Ended up even buying a new capacitor for it. I bought a new clutch for it. I rebuilt it 4 times to get all this stuff back together, and then took it apart again today after failing yesterday because I got everything put back together, and then I went to spin it and just goes, it's like a hum. The point being that in the end, it's probably going to just be the motor. Even though I've replaced everything else and checked everything on it, it's taking the motor off. I could test it on a bench. Couldn't find my electrical tester, and I'm definitely not a repairman. But the same thing happens to me with my car. It crapped out a couple of years ago. It's still sitting out there. I finally got it fixed and thought I did, and then I had no spark. So I had to replace the cap, rotor, everything. Finally got it to have spark, and then it started. Or it tried to start, but then it started smoking like crazy. I found out the alternator had been sitting there for so long, it had seized up. So I had to buy a new alternator. Finally got that running, and then it revs up and down, and there's a vacuum problem. So now I have to pin it down to all these different points, and I could not figure it out. So that's a long way of saying it seems like every time I have something go wrong in my life, it's complicated shit. Kind of like even when you get hurt or something, I couldn't just get some kind of a wound at work that I could overcome. I got a back pain. I got sciatica, so I had to even quit my career as a carpenter. Like, why is it always the worst case scenario? And why does this happen to me? Boo fucking who. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just going to keep pushing on and pushing forward because I think that is the attitude to have at all times. Because the truth is that it's not that these things just happen to me all the time, or why does this always happen or that, or why is it always the worst thing? It's not always the worst thing. Because when it's a simple thing, you don't think about it. You say, all right, that's over, that's done. And that brings me to the main point of the video here, is appreciation. Appreciation for what we have, appreciation for when things do go right. When you have a nice, pleasant encounter with someone or a walk in the park, it's grand. The minute something goes wrong, it's like, oh, I met this person and they looked at me wrong, and not everyone's like this. I just know that we can all get to that point. I definitely can find myself getting more negative and grumpy at certain times. And when you feel like things are going wrong, then it's easy to get sucked into that. And then I become overwhelmed. And then I start to think, oh, wait, I've got this other problem. And this other problem. And this other problem. And that's where it can get bad. It's the feeling of impending doom, which I did a video about a few years back. And a lot of people said they totally related to that feeling, just that something's not right and something's going to fall apart. Something's wrong. The big picture, the world's coming down on us. It's a real feeling, and it can be very overwhelming. You could kind of call it a panic attack, but it's not quite the same. It's more of a consistent feeling, and I have had it in the past. I haven't had it in a long time, and in my 30s, I had a lot of anxiety. I even went to the doctor to try to get a prescription for Valium. He wouldn't give it to me, but he gave me Buspirone. Then I said, come on. And he said, okay, well, in the meantime, I'll give you a prescription for like 20 Klonopin or something. I was stoked on it. I thought that's what helped, and it did help for a bit. But benzos only help in limited times. They cover up your emotions. If you're taking them all the time, you forget what it's like to feel. It's just how it is. Same thing with opiates. And when you're taking the Buspirone, I started getting these weird brain zaps. I stepped and I just flushed them all one day. So this is stupid. I need to overcome my own anxiety, just like I overcame my depression when I was younger. I remember laying on the couch for a couple of weeks because I thought that the world didn't like me and I had no friends and boo-hoo, poor me. Just slap yourself. I'd slap my kid self today. But the thing is, you do have reasons to be sad sometimes. You do have reasons to be anxious sometimes. That is natural. Anxiety is your body's way of telling you something's wrong. But when it's over the top, when we don't properly express ourselves, when we don't properly, process the things in our lives, then we start getting anxious over the unknown. And anxiety over the unknown is perhaps the worst kind of fear we can have. There's enough anxiety over the things that we need to figure out, the things we need to get done, and there will always be pressing issues in our lives. Doesn't matter how much we get done, how much we do, there's a way to live easier, that's for sure. I need to get a few things done as far as cleaning out my coats. I got way too many clothes, and it's just driving us all nuts. And with a washing machine not working, that doesn't help either. But anyhow, all that'll get done if I'm not sitting around making a video, which I was actually in the middle of going through all my stuff. I felt satisfied today, worked on the washer for a bit, and got my packages done, got some stuff finished that I really wanted to get accomplished over the last week. And we know when we get things done, it feels good. So if you are having maybe holiday depression, anxiety, all the things that come for all of us every holiday season, problems that we face, the things that are unforeseen. Hell, I don't live in Kentucky, and I'm not sitting, even though a lot of you, I've mentioned I wanted to move down there. We've been looking for land down there for months. And then this tornado rips through there, and the devastation was just mind-blowing. Like that tornado, it was on the ground, they said, for 200 miles. It was a monster. And anybody who lives over there or near there is going through much worse shit than my washing machine. So, I try to use that to put it in perspective. Other people have it worse than I do. That doesn't minimize our own problems. It brings up the old first world problems thing, right? But it still means that we can really put it in perspective. At least I have people that love me. At least I have a roof over my head and heat in my home. Very simple things. And I guess that's the one lesson I've learned, is just simple things make me happy. I don't need a lot, A simple life is really what I want. But that's very hard to achieve these days. At any rate, thanks for listening. I'm going to pick up my son from school now. He's, kids grow up fast. Anyway, talk to you next time. And I think that's about all I got. Yeah, that's all I got. Until next time.